Hi kids, I'm Storytime Pup, and welcome to the Storytime Pup Show. I'm so glad you came by to play. I love when my friends come by to play, and you're one of my friends. Are you ready to have fun? Let's see what we're going to do today. Magic marker, show us what we're going to do today. Yay! It's storybook time! We love storybook time! Well, hi kids, and thanks for stopping by for today's book. Today's book is P. Green Dragon, and it's written by Julia Meade. Are you ready? Okay, let's get started with today's book. Girl Hears Dragon. Is that you, Chris? Jasi said in a loud whisper as she opened her sad eyes and stood up. She stepped down from her favorite thinking step on the backyard deck. The little girl cautiously headed toward the sound she had heard. It was a crunching sound, kind of like someone eating potato chips. Since Jasi's older brother Chris seemed to eat everything in the house, it made sense that he was chowing down on chips. Jasi's eyes were sad because her best friend Stephanie had just moved to Kuwait, out of the country. Jasi and Stephanie had been best of friends for over 3 years now, and now Stephanie was gone. Like Chris and Jasi's family, Stephanie's family were also military, or somehow serving the U.S. government. Stephanie's father was a U.S. ambassador, which meant that he and his family had to go to many different countries when the government gave them orders to move. Jasi was no stranger to having to pick up and move when her own father received military orders to another base. However, she never had to leave the United States. It's hard to pick up and leave your friends and family, but Jasi was raised as a Christian, so she had faith that God would protect her and Stephanie through all the scary and unknown situations. He is always with us. A change in the weather. There were lots of very tall, old trees in the little girl's backyard. It was that time of year in Virginia when all the vibrant green leaves on each tree slowly changed colors. Each green leaf turned a spectacular yellow, orange, red, and purple color before finally turning brown and falling to the ground below. The bright fall sun reflected the dancing leaves in the cool autumn breeze. What a beautiful creation, Jasi thought to herself. Squirrels were regular visitors to her family's backyard, so she was very used to seeing them all year round. Now, with autumn quickly approaching, each squirrel was desperately in search of the last precious nuts for winter. Is that you, Chris? When Jasi looked around her backyard in search of her older brother Chris, she was surprised to not see a single squirrel or her brother. So where on earth could that curious sound be coming from? When she saw what looked like a giant green dragon sitting under a big maple tree, she rubbed her stunned eyes in disbelief. She said, under her breath, but still loud enough for someone or something to hear, "Chris, is that you? Just knock it off." Chris was sitting perfectly still, almost like he was frozen in place. This statue-like creature had a few brown leaves hanging from its large mouth. Again, the puzzled girl thought to herself, but there are no such things as dragons, right? She bet it was just her brother playing another trick on his little sister. Even if there really were still dragons on the earth now, wouldn't her science teacher, Ms. Red, have taught the class about them? Jasi was, after all, already in the 3rd grade. This creature was apparently eating some dead leaves from the ground. This creature looked like a dragon, but JC honestly suspected it was just Chris messing around. Well, she wasn't falling for it. Whatever it was, she was gonna find out. She was not afraid. Okay, maybe she was a little afraid, but she was in the safety of her own home with her family, and she was a Girl Scout. She had the confidence to explore this mystery by herself, so she inched closer to the imposter. It's not Chris. Chris, where did you get that dragon costume? She asked, as the plump monster's belly heaved in and out. He was carefully sorting those crispy, dead leaves from the ground and was not paying much attention to the silly girl asking questions. Still thinking that her brother was playing a trick on her, of course, JC asked, "How are you doing that?" The creature sat perfectly still, in fear that she could actually see him. After all, he always tried to hide in the trees. He looked straight at this small child who was posing lots of questions. It was clear that she wanted answers. JC thought to herself that she would not be tricked again by her big brother. But boy, she did love the laughter that followed every trick. He answered, "Doing what?" JC said, "Making your belly go in and out like you're really breathing and making..." JC paused. "Chris, what's wrong with your voice? Why do I see smoke? Have you been smoking cigarettes? You're not allowed. Mom said so. If you are, I'm telling on you. You know that, right?" The dragon-looking creature laid down his leaves and answered in a guilty voice. "Well, sometimes I can't help it. Sometimes it just builds up in me and I have to let it out. Especially in the summer when the creek dries up. I try not to scorch your trees." "Well, that's not exactly true," he continued. "You see, I used to live on the beach with my family and my friends until one day humans in yellow hard hats and bright orange vests came to my home and started tearing down trees, bushes, and shrubs. I suspected those creatures were going to build condos or something so that more people could be close to the waves of the beach. It all happened so fast that our family was forced to move away from their beach homes in fear. Our family had to hide out in the forest in Virginia. None of us could read a map, so we all just scattered. The next thing I knew, I was in your backyard. I was lonely and afraid, so I passed the time by eating these awesome leaf chips. Problem was that I spent all day just chomping away, and I've gained several pounds. So many, in fact, that I can no longer fly. If I can't fly, I have to walk to find the rest of my kind. Flying is far faster than walking because you can see so much more when you're up in the sky." "My name is P. Green, by the way. I didn't mean to trespass. I was just looking for something to eat and hoping my family and friends may have come here too." "So, is this where you live?" said P. Green. "Yes, my whole family lives here. Me, of course, my brother Chris, my mom Susan, and my dad Ron. How come I've never seen you before?" JC asked. "Well," said P. Green, "I've always hidden myself because I didn't know where I belong." "What do you mean? You said you have a family and friends, right?" JC asked, confused. "Well, sort of," PG Green responded. "I had a family just like yours, a mother and a father, and my big sister, Coral, named after her beautiful colors that reminded my parents of the coral reefs near our home. I haven't seen them in months, and I miss them all so much." Newfound friends. P. Green and JC talked for hours, taking taking breaks to play some of their favorite games. During their chat, P. Green explained how dragons were named. They were named based on the way they looked. P. Green was plain green, so he went by P. His sister, Coral, well, her name choice was pretty obvious. He even had a cousin named O Blue, which stood for Ocean Blue. As they talked and played, they learned more and more about each other. After talking, JC asked P if there was anything she could do to help him on his journey to reunite with his family and friends. He responded,
"Do you like going on adventures in the forest?"
"Absolutely," JC said excitedly. The two started to make a plan and decided to walk the creek behind JC's house in order to find P's kind. This adventure would mean different things to each of them. For P. Green, it meant finding his long-lost friends and family. For JC, it was about not being too shy or afraid to meet new people or make new friends.
"So, how are we going to find my family and friends?"
P. Green asked. "We're going to go on an adventure," JC responded.
"Just you and me together?"
P. Green resonated.
"What if we get lost? Or worse, what if we find danger along the way? What if my friends are so far away that we could never walk far enough to find them?"
JC responded confidently. "Don't worry, we'll only be gone a week at most. But I'll have to ask my mom for permission, of course. She could help me pack a little knapsack filled with everything we'll need for the trip. Can you pack a knapsack full of potato chip leaves and anything else you think you might need?"
"Why, sure I can,"
said P. Green.
"I'll even take a canteen of water, just in case we veer from the stream and get thirsty. Do you have some kind of map or something? I can't read, but you can, right? I never learned how to read in dragon school, but I can start our campfire every night, no problem,"
P. Green said. So it was settled. The last thing the new dynamic duo needed were cool nicknames for each other. After a lot of talking, it was decided kind of like a PB&J sandwich. They were PG and J. And now they were going on an adventure together to try to reunite P with his friends that he missed so dearly. JC was excited to make some new friends, as she already had in P. The adventure begins. JC told her mom about the plan, and at first, her mom was not crazy about the idea. She worried that JC or PG could get hurt or lost. After about an hour of talking about the adventure, JC's mom gave her permission, but insisted that her adventurous daughter pack food, clothing, and a first aid kit, just in case. JC was so excited she could hardly sleep that night. P. Green slept soundly, dreaming about a new day where the sun came up in the morning and he and his new human friend would find something they both missed very much: friendship. The next morning, JC was eagerly waiting for P on the back deck at 8 a.m. sharp. She had been waiting since 7 a.m., checking her watch every 5 minutes, anticipating P's arrival. JC's knapsack contained 8 bologna sandwiches with cheese, 5 apples, 2 small bags of chips, just in case JC got jealous of PG's leaf chips, and 4 Baby Ruth candy bars, which were her favorite. She also had blankets, clothes, and a sleeping bag. Off they go.
"Well, good morning, my friend. I have enough leaf chips to feed me for a month. Are you ready for our big adventure?"
P. Green asked. JC replied, "Are you kidding me? I could hardly sleep all night. I can't wait to meet your friends and family." So off they went, disappearing into the unknown forest. PG was so happy to have a friend with him. He had been alone for so long. They chit-chatted as they hiked slowly up and down the hillsides, following the stream as planned. All water eventually leads to the ocean, so P felt confident that he would be led to his home back at the beach. After a while, they came upon Miss Beasley, the fuzzy bumblebee. She seemed lonely and sad. As she buzzed back and forth around their heads, P. Green and JC swatted her away for fear that they might get stung. P. Green was very, very tired from all the walking, and they both were hungry. So they found a nice place to rest and have a bite to eat beside the stream. JC's feet ached, and P. Green was completely exhausted because he was not used to this much walking. Boy, how PG missed being able to fly once again. Miss Beasley settled on a rock beside them. As they ate their sandwiches and leaf chips, they noticed an odd buzzing sound. It was Miss Beasley trying to talk to them.
Do you hear that?
Said P. Green. Yeah, I do, JC said. What is it?
I think it's the bee,
P replied. Is it gonna sting us? JC asked.
No, I don't think so, but it seems like she's trying to say something.
JC listened. Oh yeah, I hear it. She's talking to us. What is it, Miss Beasley? What do you want? Can we help? Said JC. Miss Beasley said with a buzz, Can you help me get my friends back? You see, no one will come around anymore to visit because they're afraid of my giant stinger.
Well, I'm a little terrified about your stinger too, to be honest, P. Green said. We would love to help you, but what can a big dragon and a little girl do to help you not have such a big stinger?
Miss Beasley said, Well, I have these flowers that I pollinate each year that I've saved up in my hive just because they're pretty and smell so good. Maybe you guys could tie the flowers to my stinger to hide it from my friends. Then they wouldn't be afraid to come visit me. That's a great idea, said JC. Hey, P, could you use your fiery breath to burn down that cornstalk so we can make some string from it? We'll use the string to tie the flowers to Miss Beasley's stinger.
Why, sure I can. Leave it to me, my friend. Get it?
P. Green said as he laughed at his own joke. That sounds like a great idea, Miss Beasley buzzed back. But what can I do to repay you guys?
You don't need to do anything. We're just happy to help. Not to mention, we made a new friend in the process.
Once the fragrant flowers were firmly attached to her stinger, Miss Beasley said, Hey friends, I have something that I want to give to you, just to say thank you for all your help. PG and J responded simultaneously. Sure, what is it? Miss Beasley flew into her hive and buzzed out with a small jar of some kind of liquid. Why, it's my own little concoction of beeswax, honey, and flower oil. Well, thanks for the gift, but I'm not sure we can eat it, said JC. Ms. Beasley responded promptly. I don't know if you can eat it, but it might come in handy on your adventure. P. Green and JC graciously accepted the gift and headed down the stream to find a place to camp for the night. It was almost dark outside, so they knew they needed to find a place to sleep and eat some dinner. After spending the day walking further away from where JC called home, they came upon a beautiful, flat, grassy place that was perfect for a campsite. JC gathered some twigs, small sticks, and dried grass and built a campsite fire area. She was a Girl Scout, so she knew how to rip the dirt away from the future fire spot. Pea Green took in a deep breath and blew hard, almost like he was blowing candles out on a birthday cake. The twigs lit up immediately, and soon they had a warm fire. There was nothing to roast on the fire except for bologna. The fire also kept them safe from wolves, bears, and other critters of the forest. As they feasted on their dinner, they both noticed an odd-looking hole in the ground, not far from their campsite, but gave no thought to what it might be. The two of them fell fast asleep next to the warm fire. Their bellies were full, and their minds were filled with the events of the day and wondering what tomorrow would bring. The ranch. The sun came up the next morning, and that's when they saw a creature jump from its hole with a giant leap and fur flying everywhere. Pea Green was startled and immediately ran over to it, wondering what had just jumped out of the curious hole in the ground. JC walked over, stared at the hole, and decided it must be a rabbit hole.
Hey, did you see which way he went? Jay exclaimed.
No, did you? P answered. I think I see a fuzzy white creature with really big ears over there. Is that a rabbit?
Pea Green asked. Yes, it is. Do you think it's friendly? I mean, the bumblebee was friendly and all. Do you think this little guy might be too? JC wondered out loud.
Well, P answered, I guess there's only one way to find out. I'm much, much bigger than that critter, so I'll be the one to go over and say hello.
Okay, I'll stay here and wish you the best of luck talking to a possible new friend, Jay said. It was no time at all before Pea Green and the rabbit were laughing, talking, and sharing stories. The little rabbit's name was Bugsy, and she had just lost her rabbit friends because she had to move away. Bugsy was blind and always had trouble finding her rabbit hole. One day, she couldn't locate her hole and ended up getting lost in the forest. She wound up here, where she made her own home, hoping every day that one of her friends or family members would find her. When JC heard that story of the rabbit, she had an idea. What if we used the fragrant concoction from Miss Beasley to give the opening of Bugsy's rabbit hole a sweet smell, so she would be able to smell it from miles away?
That's perfect, Pea Green exclaimed. If it works?
If it works here, do you think she could go back to her old ranch? JC wondered. She could be with her friends and family once again and not have to worry about finding her hole each night. Needless to say, they tried it that night and it worked like a charm. Bugsy could easily smell the strong, flowery concoction because it smelled just like home. The flowers Miss Beasley used in her gift were the same flowers that grew back at Bugsy's ranch. Not only could she use this smell to find her way back home, but she could also use it to mark her rabbit hole, so she would never get lost again. Bugsy was so excited that she packed a knapsack right away and headed to her old ranch to stay. No more worrying about being able to find her rabbit hole. She was going to be with the family and friends who loved her very much, no matter what. Bugsy wanted to give PG and J a gift for their kindness, but neither of them wanted any kind of reward for just doing the right thing, helping one another. Bugsy insisted, leapt into a rabbit hole, and in just a few moments came out with 3 round, white, shiny stones. These are the stones that I dug up while I was making my new rabbit home. I kept them to remind me of my family and friends that I lost. I want you to have them. Pea Green replied.
Oh, we couldn't accept your beautiful stones.
Bugsy looked Pea Green directly in the eyes and said, You must accept my gift.
You and your human friend have given me hope and determination to get back to my family and friends, who I miss greatly,
Jasi said.
Thank you, Bugsy. Thank you, Bugsy. You have helped us see that even though we may get separated from friends and family, the love that we have for one another never fades. PG and J parted ways with Bugsy and walked on with their new friend on their minds. They both silently prayed that Bugsy would return to her ranch safely. Soon they came to a fork in the stream and had to choose which direction they wanted to go. Pea Green sniffed the air for a while and then said,
I think we should go that-a-way.
Jasi agreed, and so they went down a narrow trail on a hillside, but still close to the stream.
Yep, I know this is the right way,
Pea Green said, with a friendly and kind dragon smile of confidence.
I can smell my family and friends in the air.
Great, Jasi said, a little out of breath from the long hike. So, she asked, what do you think we should do with these shiny rocks?
I don't know, but I do know that we have these rocks for a reason. We just have to figure it out.
Cool, huh? Said Pea Green.
Let's just keep going on our planned path, and we'll see what happens, he continued. I can smell that we're going in the right direction. Just trust me.
The last campsite. Or was it? It was getting late, and both Jasi and Pea Green were exhausted from miles of walking. They both thought of all the friends they made during this awesome adventure and couldn't help but feel a sense of thankfulness that their small journey had led them to be able to help so many creatures. Together, as friends, they had filled their own hearts with love and their minds with peace. As both PG and J thought of these things in their own heads, P said,
Okay, let's camp here tonight.
Sounds good to me, Jasi said. I'll get the wood and brush, and you start the fire.
Okay, P said, but this time I'll use my tail to make the fire line around the campfire. What do you think?
Pea Green continued his reasoning, hoping for Jasi's approval.
After all, it's just sitting there, dragging along behind me anyways. I say let's give it a shot.
Okay, big guy, give it all you got. I know, just know in my heart that you got this, Jasi responded. Pea Green created one of the most precise fire lines Jay had ever seen. There was no way the campfire would cross this fire line. P was grinning his wide grin, proud of his accomplishment. Jasi was floored at the dragon's skill. She couldn't stop raving about how perfectly P's campfire line had turned out. What would have taken Jasi hours to build, Pea Green had done in a matter of minutes. As P centered his backside toward the future campfire, he realized that it wasn't as hard to switch his tail as it used to be. He felt strong and confident, which he hadn't felt in a long time. Jasi watched as P blew on the sticks to start the fire, and with his fire line, they knew they were safe to fall asleep. As they slept, they both dreamt of their friends and family. Their memories took them both down a path of joy, smiles, and laughter. Yes, sometimes the people we care about deeply don't see eye to eye, but the love you share with your friends and family is irreplaceable. When the sun started to sparkle on the stream, PG and J awoke from a good night's sleep, refreshed and ready for their next day of adventure. What will we find today? Jasi wondered. Fly away. Pea Green broke the morning silence. I wonder if I could make the fire line last night.
then maybe I could fly again. I've lost a few pounds from all this walking, but I'm scared it won't be enough, Pea Green said.
Give it a try. Jasi was so excited for her friend, she could hardly keep from jumping up and down to encourage him, what she knew P could do. The only problem was that P was not as confident in himself as his friend was, but she was surprised at his willingness to give it a shot. Pea Green thanked Jasi profusely for her support, took a deep breath, and swished his 150-pound tail back and forth like a tornado.
If I'm able to fly again, it sure would make the trip much faster and easier on our feet.
Within 3 minutes at most, Pea Green was off the ground. Holy cow! Jasi exclaimed in a loud, confident, and joy-filled voice. You did it, P! You can fly again!
Yeah!
P said, unsure he was really doing it.
I'm actually flying! Whee!
The dragon sung out as he looped and bobbed up and down in midair.
I'm flying! I'm really flying all by myself!
Pea Green asked Jasi.
Hey, do you want a lift?
Of course I do. I've never flown before. What's it like?
Oh, it's the best! Here, climb on my back and let's cruise around together,
said P. Okay, here I come, she replied. She climbed on his back, and they flew above the stream, enjoying the view. But a loud rushing sound caught their attention. The stream was rushing rapidly, and water was forcefully pouring downstream. Jasi interjected. We should go make sure everything is okay down there. It looks like the stream is higher than it's supposed to be. PG and J landed softly on the ground and began walking. Rushing water. The sound of rushing water filled Pea Green's and Jasi's ears as they struggled to walk down the muddy bank by the stream. As it turned out, just a few days prior, a small fire hydrant had burst. The broken fire hydrant had sent hundreds of gallons of water down the hill and flooded the stream. As the two walked further on, they found a nice place to rest and sat down by the stream. They noticed some sort of rustling very close to the water. Jasi stood up and looked around. She saw twigs and small branches moving from the edge of the water. Hey, P, come and check this out.
What is it?
P asked the almost frightened little girl. I don't know, but it looks like an otter. Do otters live in houses made of sticks and branches?
No, Pea Green said. It must be a beaver.
Do you think it's okay? It's all alone. Do you think it has friends or family? The little guy looks like he's still very young, Jasi questioned.
We should find out,
P replied. Jasi approached the beaver and crouched down to be closer to it. Hello, are you okay? Do you need help? We couldn't help but notice the river rushing and had to stop and see if everything was all right. The beaver moved around anxiously. Do you have a name? Asked Jasi. Finally, the beaver replied. My name is Todd, but everyone calls me Little T. This is not my home. I was washed away from my real home when the fire hydrant upstream burst. It sent a flood of racing water into the stream. I'm building this dam for shelter. So, Little T said, what are you two doing here? We are on an adventure to reunite Pea Green with his family and friends. We would love to help you do the same if we can, Jasi said excitedly. Well, you see, the problem is that my family and friends were also washed out of their homes. We were separated, and now I have no idea where they are.
I chose a spot to build a home in hopes that my family would soon pass by," the beaver told her solemnly.
"We may have something that could help you," Jasi exclaimed with a huge smile. "We have 3 shiny white rocks that would make your dam sparkle in the sunlight, and then maybe your family could see where you are."
"Do you really think that would help? I would love to accept your offer, but I'm not sure I have anything to repay you with," Little T said as he hung his head.
"We don't want any repayment. We sought out to reconnect with our people and make new friends, and it seems like that's what we've made in you. We only want to help because all living creatures should help one another."
"If I could finish building a big and flashy enough home, then I'd have hope that my dam would be visible for miles around," the beaver said joyfully.
Jasi turned to P and he smiled, and they immediately got to work. By the time the sun had just started to set, the dam was built. It had taken the 3 of them hours to complete Little T's new home, and they were all exhausted. Once the rocks were in place, believe it or not, another young beaver came swimming by and stopped to say hi to Little T, PG, and J. As it turned out, it was T's cousin, Little Whippy. While T and Whippy hugged and talked for a good while, Jasi and P decided to camp by the beaver dam for the night and began setting up camp. This time, not only did P make the safety line in a flash, he also flew around the forest and gathered brush, leaves, and small branches. Now that he could fly again, after losing some weight and getting back into shape, it would be no problem to locate his family from high above the trees. After the last of the bologna sandwiches, baby Ruth's fruit and chips were gone, they all settled in for the night. Heading home. The next morning, PG and J said goodbye to Little T and Little Whippy. They quickly took off toward the beach, PG flying with Jasi on his back, and they were both filled with excitement. Finally, they would be given a chance to find PG's family. As they approached the shore, they noticed the horizon was filled with tall beach homes and condos as far as the eye could see. P. Green slowed his pace, hovering above what was once his home.
"I don't see any of my family or friends. I had hoped that some of us would still be here, but it appears they have all gone now. No one is left," PG trailed off.
Not knowing how to comfort her friend, Jasi was silent. P slowly turned back toward Jasi's house as he said disappointedly,
"I'll take you back home to your family."
Though it had taken days for PG and J to travel down the stream in search of P's family, it took only minutes to travel back to Jasi's house. Though the mood was gloomy, Jasi was excited to see her house from the clouds. It looked so small, and her brother Chris in the backyard looked like a tiny ant on the ground. She was so happy to see her family again, but what an adventure she had! Just before P landed, he saw his sister, Coral, at the edge of the woodline behind Jasi's house.
"She found me!"
he shouted.
"There she is! Hey sis, look up here!"
P almost crash-landed out of pure joy. Once on the ground, P raced over to his sister and gave her a huge dragon hug, their tails swishing back and forth like crazy. Jasi also raced over to Chris and attacked her brother with a hug that almost knocked him to the ground. Her mom came outside and hugged and kissed her daughter with a huge, relieved smile on her face. Her dad also sprinted over to Jasi, so happy she had come home safe and sound from her daring adventure. As both PG and J caught up with their families, they exchanged wide grins with one another.
They both had not only reconnected with their families, but they had made new friends along the way. That was the moment when they both realized the adventure was all part of God's plan. And if they hadn't trusted one another and followed their instincts, they wouldn't have made new friends and had this fantastic adventure that they would never forget. All things happen for a reason, even when we can't understand why things happen the way they do. Post-adventure. As it turned out, Miss Beasley reconnected with her friends, and no one ever mentioned her stinger again. She quickly became the talk of the town with her large, flower-covered stinger. She couldn't go anywhere without being noticed. Bugsy was able to move back home into her old rabbit hole now that she could find it with ease. As soon as she arrived at the ranch, her family was elated. She was greeted with open paws, and a celebration was thrown in her honor. Due to the shining glistening of the rocks, Todd's family found him quickly, and he was soon safely back with his own kin. His family ended up moving into his huge, flashy beaver dam. It had plenty of space for everyone he loved. It was strong enough to withstand the rushing water, and his family was so grateful to be reconnected with him. PG and J would be friends for life. P and Coral made Jasi's backyard their new home. And though they were still waiting for the rest of their family and friends, they now had each other and their new friends. The bond PG and J shared was unbreakable. What an exciting adventure! What an exciting adventure Jasi and P had. I love how they made new friends and helped other people along the way. That's what's most important about life. And at the end of their incredible adventure, everyone was happy and so many new friends were made. I hope you enjoyed today's book. I want to say a great big thank you to Julia Meade for sharing this wonderful adventure book with us.